Kels from Kerayzie Art, and welcome to my Közi Illuminati illustration. This is the first time I have spoken on any of my art videos, so I apologise for if I start rambling because I tend to do that. So let's get straight into it. First of all, line work. The first thing you will have noticed is that what I do is I kind of just draw out a basic structure. So basically where his head was going to be, where his arm is. You can't really see because of my lighting. And then what I did was I went back up to the head to put in the details. You'll notice that when I'm drawing, I don't necessarily use the method that a lot of professional artists tell you to use, which is a very, very helpful and useful way of drawing faces, which we'll go into in another video. What I tend to do, especially with drawing Közi, because I draw him so often, is I just kind of do it, which sounds really unprofessional of me. You'll notice that I redraw parts over and over again, because if I'm not happy with it, I'll reposition it. Moving from his face, which isn't quite right at this point, I go into a basic shape of the clown ruff, putting in the shoulder, the arm and the torso. Here I'm marking the hand, and you see the cross across the X across his belly is the chains. Anybody who knows me knows I hate drawing hands. I don't find them easy at all, and the hand is definitely the hardest part of any image that I ever draw. Here we go, putting in darker lines on the, what you would call the outline. Some of you will know that I sometimes leave the lines in after I've inked my illustrations because I just like it. This image was going to be a similar illustration with black lines, you know, outlining the details like many of my other illustrations, and as you'll see at the end, it ended up not being that at all. It ended up being far more realistic, and I liked it the way I ended up. You see me going back to the face, and if you were paying attention very quickly, I readjusted his cheekbone because his face was too narrow. Here I am adding some basic details to the clown ruff, not overly detailed, just little bits here and there. There's a big blank space on the right side of this image, and that's because it's all in darkness and there was no need for me to really worry about it. Now into the inking. I am lucky enough to have a skin palette set of markers, which basically it's like pinks, oranges, browns, a few very pale yellows and some beiges, a couple of grey colours, and used together you can get quite an effective skin colour. For Közi, although the reference image, he was more purpley because of the effect that they wanted, I'm guessing, for the image. But I didn't want to make him look too purple, so I stuck with the beiges, and there's quite a bit of pink in there as well. As you can see, the detail on his abdomen, as people who are aware of what this reference is meant to be incision. The blood smear on the base of his belly is meant to be thinned out blood, basically. Instead of using reds to do blood, I used orange because that allowed me to get the definition of the supposedly thicker blood dripping by using the reds. Onto his tattoo. Although we know his tattoo isn't the colour that I drew it in, which I use blues and purples, and this is because my background's going to be black, and most of you will know that my backgrounds are usually black. There you go, my background is black. Because my background was black, I didn't want to use black in the actual image of Közi, because what it would do is you would lose the definition and he would just sort of become a very 2D image. See me going over the background quite a bit because my pen ran out. I had to use a different one. Those of you who know what this image is from, which is Illuminati, you know that what he's wearing is black. The clown ruff and cuff, or the collar and cuff, are black with gold detailing. Because my background is black, I don't use black in the shadows unless you're trying to totally eliminate the definition of something. So what I used was very dark greys and some browns actually in the hand. Here we are adding some shading to the chains and the clown ruff. Again, using greys rather than black because you don't want to lose the definition. You'll notice that I don't do one part of the picture at once. You see, I keep going back to different parts. There I was doing the shading on his arm, and what I was using was greys, and I think it was a dark brown to actually remove the line of his arm. Again, because you want to keep that definition that he's a 3D person against a black background, and to do that, you don't want to use the same colour as the background. And I know I've said that a lot. Putting the details on the hand really helped to bring the definition of the hand. The makeup on his hands, the red nail polish, was enough to make it really stand out. And going to his face, all the shading on Közi's face was grey, except for a little bit on his brow, which was purple, and I didn't like it, and I used the colourless blender, which you saw earlier on, to remove the pigment of that. You can see a little bit of it just above his eye. Now the makeup on his face is obviously predominantly white, and his eyes and his lips are red. You don't want to use too bright a red because that would remove the focus from the injury detail, which is a different kind of red. So I used, as well as the dark reds under his eye and on his eyelid, I actually used some blues, pale pink you see there, which actually helps to blend out the darker red, and also some purple, and I think I might have used some greys. I used greys to do the highlight, it's not highlighted, but it's on the highlighted side of his face, to bring the definition for around his nose and around his lips and chin. I do then go into there again with the colourless blender to remove some of that because I felt it was too dark. Using some purple for definition on the lips, and then we're putting the detail into the ruff and cuff. Like I said before, they're black in the image, the reference image, but it would have been too much black. So what I actually used was greys and some very pale beige colours, and very pale, very, very, very pale sort of skin colours. And then what I did was, here you can see I'm lucky enough to have some metallic markers, which aren't the best metallic markers, but what I used was dots in varying different shades. I think I used 4 shades to create the gold, but not just by using gold, and I think it was quite effective. I did the same on the cuff as well. This was a slight close-up of the face, which wasn't great lighting. This is the finished image. I think overall the whole image was a success. I do draw Közi a lot, and a lot of you know that I draw Közi a lot. I draw him a lot because I enjoy drawing him and I find him easy to draw. I draw him for practice mainly. Drawing him so often allows me to forget about the technicality and the structure of what I'm actually drawing, and allows me the freedom of experimenting with styles. And you saw it's not the greatest tutorial, and as I get more confident with explaining what I'm doing, I'm going to make more of a conscious effort to make a note of the colours that I'm using, because up until now I haven't, and I look at my image and I see pinks or purples or blues or oranges, or I don't see black and white and beige. I see all these different colours, and hopefully my video encourage people to look at things in the same way that I do, and then be able to build up a palette from different colours that you might not have expected yourself to use, to create something rather beautiful. This isn't the best tutorial on YouTube, I know it is, and I apologise. I just want to thank you if you've watched and listened to me for this long. Thank you for all the love on social media. Please like the video and subscribe.